Handheld. Metroid Zero Mission, which is a remake of the original Metroid for Game Boy Advance, is a very good game. I agree with that. I agree with them on this decision. MMO, don't care. RPG, Fable. I heard that's good, but interesting. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne is nominated. I did a review for that game, and I gave it a very, very high score. It's one of my favorite RPGs ever. But, yeah, of course it wouldn't win anything, because it's Japanese, quote-unquote. Most addictive game voted by viewers, Burnout 3. Best gaming publication and best gaming website. I don't really trust game reviewers, professional game reviewers anymore, because they can't be honest most of the time. For example, I believe it was like GameSpot. The viewer is actually fired for giving the first Kane and Lynch game a low score. I think it was Jeff Gerstmann was the reviewer. I'm not sure, but if reviewers cannot be honest, and if they can be fired for giving their honest opinion about a game, because the game's developers or publishers are giving ad revenue towards that website or gaming or magazine, then how can you trust professional game reviewers anymore? I mean, all I do is look up video game footage on YouTube or read user reviews on GameFAQs, but I mainly look at video game footage on YouTube when I decide to buy a video game. Alright, moving on. 2005. First year Samuel Jackson hosted. I actually watched this one. I barely remember it though. Game of the year went to Resident Evil 4. It is a very good game, although a lot of people are upset about that game because it took Resident Evil in a different direction. But hopefully it'll go back to its survival horror roots. Also nominated God of War, Call of Duty 2, World of Warcraft, and Fear. God of War got nominated for a bunch of awards this year, but and it won pretty much most of the awards it was nominated for, but for the top prize went to Resident Evil 4. So there you go. Action game, God of War. Once again, Resident Evil 4 was nominated, but it didn't win. Also, 50 Cent Bulletproof was nominated for a bunch of awards, even though that game sucked dick. Alright? It was just terrible. Individual sports game, team sports game, Madden. Once again, was this the third year in a row Madden won an award for best sports game? Whatever. Cyber Vixen of the Year, best game based on a movie, King Kong, which I heard is actually pretty good. I haven't played it. It's a first-person shooter. I also heard The Warriors is also pretty good. It was a 3D beat 'em up. Best performance by a human male, Jack Black. Another sign of things to come. Supporting male, Christopher Walken. Best human female, supporting female. Moving on. Best original song, 50 Cent. Fuck that. Soundtrack, Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero. Short word about Guitar Hero. I used to like it, but the novelty wore off soon after, and then they've just released the same thing year after year. Rock Band, I don't know why they consider Rock Band a different game. It's just the same game with additional instruments. And eventually Guitar Hero implemented drums and vocals just like a Rock Band, so they're indistinguishable. Original score, Lila Katamari, surprising. Designer of the Year, David Jaffe for God of War, and he is a good designer. Best driving game, Burnout Revenge. I've only played one Burnout game. That was Burnout Legends for the PSP. They are fun games, especially where you have to cause huge wrecks. Those are pretty fun too. Most addictive game, World of Warcraft. Of course, I've heard many stories of how many people's lives are ruined by that game. Best fighting game, Fight Night Round 2, a boxing game. Okay, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks is nominated. It's not a fighting game. Just because it says Mortal Kombat doesn't mean it's a Mortal Kombat game. It's a 3D beat 'em up game like let's see, like Final Fight combined with Devil May Cry. It's a pretty fun game. One of the best non-fighting Mortal Kombat games out there. It's a retelling of Mortal Kombat 2, I think. Best first-person action, Fear. Uh, Perfect Dark Zero is nominated. Ugh. One of the most disappointing prequel. Pardon me. One of the most disappointing prequels/sequels I've ever played. I'm losing my voice. Sorry about that. I was losing my voice for a minute there. Moving on. Military game, Call of Duty 2. Best graphics, Resident Evil 4. I agree with that. I mean, it even had graphics that looked better than most early Xbox 360 games. Even though it was a GameCube exclusive at first. Handheld game, Luminous. I played a little bit of that. It is a pretty fun puzzle game, but I just wasn't really into it. Liberty City Stories was awesome. It was basically portable GTA 3. Multiplayer game, Guild Wars, Breakthrough Technology 360, which the 360 at first was pretty awesome, but now it's basically a shadow of its former self. And also, considering the failure rate of the 360, I'm surprised it won that. Maybe it should have gone to the PSP, which is also nominated. Best RPG, World of Warcraft. PC game, Battlefield 2. Wireless game, Mark Echo's Getting Up. Alright. Moving on, 2006. Samuel Jackson hosted again. And this is the year that Sarah Silverman did a comedy stand-up routine. And it was a travesty. First of all, they introduced her as a funny hot chick. Okay, first of all, she's not attractive at all, at least not to me. And she's not funny at all. She's just a failure of a comedian in my eyes. And what she said during her routine about how they should ship video games to like the third world countries to reduce the spread of AIDS, it's just offensive. I mean, she also got booed, and she's like, okay, what do you think was going to happen when you told that joke to a bunch of video gamers? You honestly thought that nothing would happen? That was the worst part of the show, in my opinion. Alright, Game of the Year, Oblivion. I fully agree with that. I must have put over 300 hours into that game alone. I am not joking you. I played the 360 version mainly because I just got a gaming PC. But anyway, even without mods, user-created mods, it's still a fun game. Even though there's some glitches in it that were annoying, they were not enough to detract from the overall experience. Studio of the Year, Epic Games for Gears of War. Let's see, Cyber Vixen of the Year. Interesting choice, Alex Vance. I actually approve of that because Alex Vance, she's not your typical big-breasted, perfect shape video game girl. She's realistic. She's intelligent. She's an excellent companion, actually, in Half-Life 2 Episode 1. And most of all, she likes geeks. As she's in love, she likes Gordon Freeman, so I fully approve of her. Excellent choice there, Spike, for once. I actually fully agree with you. Best individual sports game, team sports game. Madden did not win that year. Very surprising. Best game based on a movie or TV show, Lego Star Wars 2. Okay, but Scarface, though Scarface is a GTA clone, it was still a pretty fun game. One of the best GTA clones in my opinion. Sopranos, Road to Respect, that game just sucked. I was expecting GTA, but what I got was a bunch of dialogue choices, walking around, taking stuff from tables, and the game actually discourages you fighting people. So, no, it was just overall shitty game. Performance by human male Patrick Stewart in Oblivion. Although his role was minimal in that game, he still did a great job. Um, Supporting male performance, James Gandolfini. I actually remember his acceptance speech, which was recorded via satellite, and he just didn't give a shit. You could tell. He was like, so thanks. That's basically it. He just didn't care, and I agree with him. I mean, you expect a video game award to hold any importance? If you really believe that, then there's something wrong with you. Human female, supporting female performance, best cast, Family Guy, best song, no. Best soundtrack, Guitar Hero 2, though Scarface had a good soundtrack too. Original score, Oblivion, driving game, Burnout Revenge, most addictive game, Oblivion. Like I said, I put over 300 hours into that game, so I fully agree with that. Fighting game, Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Once again, a non-fighting game is nominated. God Hand? God Hand is once again, a 3D beat-em-up that plays like Devil May Cry. It was made by Clover Studios, now known as Platinum Games. It's a fun game and also a pretty funny game. Also pretty hard from what I heard. Action game, Dead Rising. It is just fun in that game just to kill zombies with whatever you get your hands on. Although, escorting survivors was frustrating as all hell. Best shooter, Gears of War. Although, I heard Black was also pretty solid. Military game, Company of Heroes. Best graphics, Gears of War, which Okami was also nominated, and I think that game should have won. It may not have photorealistic graphics like Gears of War, but it had an interesting art style. It was like cel-shaded combined with traditional Japanese art. It's unique, and it's what sets it apart from other games, and it should have won that award. Handheld games, New Super Mario Brothers. At first, when this game first came out, I was excited because it was a return to old school Mario platforming. But then I got it, and I just wasn't really excited for it. I mean, the novelty wore off, and it was just like a step back. I mean, there's no flight like in Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World. No item inventory like in Super Mario Brothers 3. Yeah, it just didn't feel like it was just a step back for me for Super Mario Brothers. This multiplayer, Gears of War 3, Gears of War, why did I say 3? Breakthrough technology, the Wii, which I agree with, there's really no competition for that. I mean, at first the Wii was great, and I expected great things from it, but over the years it just became a huge disappointment. I mean, I hardly play it anymore. The only games I care about on it are No More Heroes, Mario Galaxy, and Zelda, and that's about it. Nominated was DS Lite, a smaller version of the DS, yeah. And a video game, Electroplankton, no.